Hello and welcome everyone, I am Madals and this is another StarCraft 2 England cast. Today I have got a ladder game. It is between MaSsan, the red Zerg player in the lower left position, and he's up against Ranged, the blue Protoss player in the top right. The map is of course Cloud Kingdom, and well, if anyone is a bit unfamiliar with Ranged, as I was, I took the liberty of giving him a quick look up on the ye old Liquipedia, and well, he's a USA born and bred player who's currently in Romania with his team, Neurosoft's team house, so he's out practicing there. Apparently he's done quite well actually. He wants to get into Code A in the GSL, so good luck to him. He used to be a Brood War pro as well, so just a little bit about him. Now MaSsan, of course, he is a right up-and-comer. He hit my radar probably a couple of months ago when I started seeing some of his games online. He's been playing very solidly recently, and as a result I've cast quite a few of his games because they are fun to watch. They're usually pretty epic, and he uploads his replays when they are awesome, so big grats to him. Anyway, what can we expect in terms of build order? Well, pylon down there, that says fast expansion. That could be a Nexus first, it could be a Forge, then Nexus. But on Cloud Kingdom, I reckon we're probably going to see Nexus first, to be honest, because it's relatively safe to do, it's a big map, and, well, the Zerg players, especially MaSsan, isn't a big fan of early aggression. He'll probably chuck down a 14 or 15 pull. There's the 14 pull, get an expansion relatively quick, and try and take his third close to the 4-minute mark than the 5-minute mark, so we'll wait and see how that plays off, see if I'm right. I do hope, considering the mineral income has gone above the 150 mark, it's definitely going to be a Nexus before Forge opening from the Protoss player, so that's all cool. In terms of the longer game strategy, well, there's lots of different options, to be honest. Most likely what we'll see out of the Protoss is, well, it depends whether he's going long or short game. There's so many two-base places, absolutely huge. And to be honest, on Cloud Kingdom, I expect some kind of two-base play because the Zerg player has to take this third base, which can be super awkward due to the large ramp areas. By the way, we've got two workers just having a little duel over here. The probe is unfortunately going to lose this fight. MaSsan does get his expansion down, that's all great. But coming back to the third base, this is really the focus of the game. If Ranged is able to take this out in a timely fashion, then to be honest, MaSsan's going to be really on the back foot. If it stays up, Ranged is going to have problems. The only other option Ranged has is take a quick third, which again can be a little bit vulnerable. We'll wait and see what their strategies are. In terms of strategies, I mean, I've seen everything from a 10-gate Mass Zealot play to Immortal Sentry pushes, 5-gate, 6-gate, 7-gate, 5-gate Blink Stalker, etc, etc, etc. Huge options available to the Protoss. For the Zerg, we'll probably see a fairly standard Roachling early game, transitioning relatively quickly into Infestors and then up into Broodlords. It's just the way the game's played at the moment. It works fairly well. Can see some neat timing pushes. We do see here MaSsan, wow, he got that out really early. So a very, very quick third base there from MaSsan, which, again, I expected. It's really quite systematic with his playstyle, and it's really nice to see, actually. And we're definitely going to be in store now for a bit of a longer macro game. We've got the double gas coming up now. The natural base is, of course, up. We've got those probes rallied incorrectly. Hopefully, Range will notice that. Otherwise, has he noticed yet? Nope, apparently he hasn't. There we go. So he does move the probe back, but it's all good. Anyway, two queens out. Sorry, one queen out. The second queen on its way. I would like to see a couple of extra queens just in production, because then you get the good creep spread, which is so essential to good Zerg play, in my opinion. You want to be getting this creep halfway across the map at 12 minutes. It makes defending so much easier. It gives you good scouting information, map awareness, etc, etc, etc. And I haven't even touched on the speed boost. Now, looking here, we do have the Cyber Core coming out. We've got that Zealot getting Chrono Boost out, because at the moment the Wall-Off is being held by a probe. So, obviously, that's less than ideal. We do have the second Queen out now. The Injects are going down. Haven't got the Creep Tumor yet, but there we go. So, everything right on cue. And if I'm not mistaken, there is a Queen shortage. So that missing queen means that one less inject, which means 4 less lava every 40 seconds, which is not a great place to be, because you need all of those injects early on, especially to keep up with the Protoss player chrono boosting out on their Nexus, which currently the chrono boost coming down on these Stalkers, so maybe a bit of Stalker harassment, we'll wait and see, perhaps trying to get that Overlord, which is well and truly safe now, but either way, definite plans in getting out a lot of Stalkers. Could go and do some harassment, 2 Stalkers can harass quite nicely. especially if the Zeta was brought along as well. Now, no real sign of tech. Good timing of the Roach Warren here, wherever it may be. There we go, from MaSsan, aiming for about 6 minutes 30 for that Roach Warren. You want to get the Evo Chamber a couple of seconds afterwards, ideally. That's for the Spore Crawlers, for DTs, and also for any air pressure. Looking here, we do have the Nexus coming down. So third base is coming down for range, so it's not going to be a two-base play. And to be honest, this is the most... well, the earliest point you can realistically get that third base is Protoss, because you've got your Cybercore and your Gateway, and that is it. Everything else is missing. He's got no additional gateways. He's just getting that third up, which can be very, very dangerous for MaSsan, because a Protoss player on 3 bases can do an awful lot. Those 2 Stalkers can be a right pain, because as you can see, MaSsan only recently just taken his 2 gas. Hasn't started speed yet, even though he has banked up an awful lot of gas there. He's up to that turn of 200 mark. He has started his lair. Speed also started at the same time, so maybe a bit of mismanagement there, but it's only a minor error at this stage. But obviously, you want to try and get that speed out the first 100 gas, unless you have a very specific strategy, in which case you get the lair out as soon as you've got enough gas for it. Now, looking down here, we've got, of course, the 3rd and 4th gas coming out. MaSsan's in a great spot in terms of working count. A lot of gateways and cannons being added onto this third base, so Ranged really wants to bunker up, and this is a good strategy, to be honest. If you take this third base, wall it up, put 2 cannons down there, be safe, because you've taken a risk by getting that expansion so quickly. Make it safer, and then you're going to be in a great spot. The robotic facility is, of course, now finished. Looking around the map, we've got the double Evo chambers coming down here as well now for MaSsan, so we should see some double upgrades coming out, which I very, very much like. I think it's great play. 4th base coming down from MaSsan, because of course he is now aware that the 3rd base is there for range, so take an expansion above your opponent every time as Zerg players. We all know that. That is just a standard play. Looking here, we've got gateways really trying to wall off this area, prevent any kind of Zergling 1-by, so really going ultra safe. We've got a mortar coming out. The one thing I am surprised at is that we're not seeing a robotics bayout yet, because usually when you see this third base come out quite quickly, you see the Protoss also tech up really fast. Just get a really big army, but there comes down the robotics bay, so perhaps I'm just thinking a bit too fast. We've got the Twilight Council coming down as well now. That's going to be really, really beneficial. Getting Blink out, which of course such a good opening. And now we do have a hallucinated Phoenix, giving us loads of scouting information as a Protoss player. It's something we see far too few Protoss players go for hallucinate, and it is just very, very potent and useful in order to get great information. And it does allow you to also delay your robotics facility, because you then don't need the observer out quite as soon. So literally benefits are huge. Looking here, we've got obviously the tech structures at the back of the base where they're nice and safe. Overlord speed has been researched. That's why that Overlord seems to be going at rocket pace. We'll be interested to see what is chucked down off the back of that. We've got more Queens in production. We've got a Macro Hatch in production. Everything is really where MaSsan would like it. The 1-1 upgrades are on the way. 11 Roaches coming out now. Obviously, these hallucinated Phoenix are just constantly keeping tabs on what MaSsan is doing. He's also, obviously, MaSsan has scouted out exactly what's coming down. That extended Thermal Lance upgrade getting chrono boosted. So is the first Colossus getting chrono boosted out. We do have the 7th, 8th gas coming down for the Zerg player. And looking around, everything... it's so standard, it's crazy, but to be honest, everything is just fun, everything's good. We've got the Infestation Pit on its way, the Baneling Nest on its way. Baneling Nest coming down along with Ventral Sacs. We're gonna see Bane Rain, which of course is the nicest thing in the world, because it's awesome to watch and it's great fun to play as well. Will, of course, Range be in a position to deal with this? Well, he's just chucking down a whole load of gateways, but does only have the 1 robotics facility. And if you're on 3 bases, you can potentially start looking at cutting down the numbers of gateways, getting a second robo in order to try and get up more Colossus. Of course, we do now have the Templar Archive, so that's why we're not seeing that double robotic facility, purely because we're going to see a lot of High Templar come out. But MaSsan is going to try and put an end to that before this point. He's ready to start pushing in. He's seeing that there's only 1 Colossus there and there's really little in the way of defense. We may see some Baning start morphing soon. All of those Overlords are moving out, but are spotted by the observer. 1 gateway gets picked off. Obviously, anything you pick off for free is great. Both players really lost hardly anything at this point, and we're already 12.5 minutes into the game. The Banelings now morphing, 26 of them. Will we see Range pull off a miracle defense? MaSsan is completely maxed out right now. He's got so many units streaming across the map. He's going to start banking up money. Now, the only thing I'd love to see MaSsan do right now is take a 5th base. He's got enough money to do so. Take that 5th, be in a safe spot. But anyway, we should see any second now. The Ventral Sacs is complete. We do have the Force fields coming down from range, very nice force fields indeed, but all of those overlords are getting loaded up, which of course means now you've got issues because force fields are going to be no help to you at all ranged, and you do not have many units on the field. Here we go, all the overlords coming off, one will get picked off, and as soon as you do start losing those units out of those overlords, you start getting problems, but for the moment hardly any overlords have gone. We've got the big engagement coming in now, the Baneling and Roach drop not being as effective as it could be. Lots getting stuck behind the wall off, but still we've got lots of Stalkers getting basically trapped out the way. The Overlords are now completely empty, but we do still see those Colossus retreating, allowing MaSsan to completely go to town on the third base, getting in good positions, but unfortunately the Roaches engaging almost single file against those two, now 3 Colossi, which can cause some problems, but the Remax is on its way. We've got 14 Roaches, 30 more Zerglings coming down, Hive Tech on its way out as well. This third base probably going to get focused, to be honest, unless of course MaSsan chooses to pull back, which he very well might do. And to be honest, I'm not sure that was the best choice pulling back, because these Roaches are going to struggle to get away, especially with Blink already finished, but this is going to be a great regroup. We've got so many Banelings in production again. Spire coming down, Hive coming down, so we're getting that transition into Broodlords. The drop, did it do enough damage? Would it killed 16 workers? That has put MaSsan ahead in terms of the worker count. He is still a base up, obviously, but his gas is starting to get pretty high, and well, obviously ranged, he didn't lose any of those Colossi. That is a very important thing. He's getting High Templar in now. Storm, I believe, is not researched, which means they're going to just morph straight into Archons. And, well, this is now going to become very interesting. The only kind of staple part of this army missing is, of course, the Stargate for the Mothership Core. But as you can see here, well, we have got big pushes coming in, but is it enough units? I don't think it is for MaSsan right now. Ranged is starting to struggle, but those 4 Colossi are just able to do so much damage, kiting everything backwards. We do have some Banelings dropping, but MaSsan doesn't seem to have the critical mass that he requires to really deal with this force, and the Colossi are just able to deal so much damage. And I realised earlier I did say he hasn't got the Mothership Core out. This is not, unfortunately, the Heart of the Swarm beta test, but obviously I did mean the Flea Beacon for the Mothership. Now, anyway, looking here, this counterattack could be very strong. So many Overlords getting taken out, and of course, they aren't cheap, 100 minerals each, and that is, once you start losing a lot of those, you start losing a lot of lava. Obviously, MaSsan does have quite a few spare because he's going for a drop-heavy style, but this push has got a lot of momentum in it, and MaSsan is a long way ahead in terms of supply. He just needs a good engagement, and engaging here would not be such a great place because obviously the choke point heavily favours the Protoss army, so MaSsan just needs to pull back, maybe put some of the Roaches behind and try and really encave all of the Protoss army here, but we'll wait and see what's going to go. The Roaches coming in from behind, this could be quite interesting indeed. Obviously those Colossi should be the main target. The Roaches do need to be careful. The Roaches are no armor 2 armor upgrades, no weapons upgrades. Here we go. They are hugging up to those Stalkers, trying to back away as quickly as they can. The Colossi are still up though and are able to do just so much damage. If we look at the cost difference in terms of the resources lost, it's huge. For the first Colossus falls, and if a second one was able to get picked off, that would be an absolutely massive win for MaSsan, but it does not look like it's going to be the case now when most of those Roaches have been taken out. Looking at the resupply though, Greater Spire is halfway done. We've got a lot more Roaches coming in. MaSsan really now needs to start thinking about his 5th base. That is really the critical problem he's got at the moment, is that lack of 5th. If he'd expanded down here, for example, his opponent wouldn't have even been looking there. He hasn't gone down that part of the map at all yet. MaSsan is doing a great job at the moment, but that last engagement was not cost effective for him in the slightest. As you can see here, he lost about 5,000 more minerals, resources as a whole than his opponent, which, if you're not taking extra expansions, you're not getting really far ahead economically. It can pose problems. Looking at the worker count, 77 to 67. The 77 workers for MaSsan is a really nice spot. I think that is a great place to be. The Broodlord's morphing in now. We do have some High Templar warping in as well. We'll probably see a couple of Archons, although Storm is researching. Upgrade-wise, really in ranged favour. 3-1 compared to 2-1, and I believe, if I find one of these, that the +2 melee attack is done as well. So upgrade advantage is there at the moment at 3-2 for the Protoss player, who is now taking his 4th base, so there's no excuse at all for MaSsan. He's got to take his 5th, because otherwise he'll be on equal basis with his opponent and he'll have to end the game here and now, or he could run into some problems. 5 more Broodlords morphing in. This is going to be a really high Broodlord number, and because Ranged hasn't started even teching towards that Mothership, he's going to have no effective way of dealing with those. He's not going to have, well, for a start, any Vortex. His Archon numbers are pretty low. I believe they're almost non-existent. No Archons on the field. The Stalker count is isn't great at 19, and we're now seeing the Infestor Star coming up. These roaches just coming to check, make sure there's nothing down here. So this is an indication that we should see an expansion at some time soon, but there is one Zealot hidden up there. Maybe it's going to go and scout out later. The Broodlord numbers still ever increasing. The Spine Crawler's coming down as well. Obviously, that is a great move. Make sure you replace the drones, though, if you are building those spine crawler walls, especially when you have them mined out the map afterwards. Do what you want. Looking here, we do have, well, a lot of pylons, a very, very thick wall off getting down there, but of course, range needs them for the supply more than anything else. The 5th base on its way, but here comes the Zealot. That is just going to be incredibly annoying, but luckily, a handful of roaches just sitting here, which should be able to go and pick that off very, very quickly indeed. The Stargate finally coming down there for range, so we should see some kind of tech towards Mothership soon, but will it be soon enough? The answer could very well be no. We've got 52 Zerglings in production now, but with all of those Broodlords and Infestors, it's going to be tough pushing into this, because obviously the Broodlords engage very cost effectively against this army with only a handful of Stalkers. The High Templar are there, so the Storms will be great against the Zerglings, but my big concern, of course, is how good those Infestors and Broodlords can be against the Protoss force, especially with such few Blink Stalkers, especially with no Vortex. So we'll wait and see. The engagement is definitely going to be coming, though. MaSsan may go in and get the fungal growth off, and that is exactly what he's going to do. A great fungal growth hits there. A couple of storms do go down, pick off a lot of those Zerglings, but the Broodlords are able to just absolutely go down. The fungal growth perfect from MaSsan right there. Range left his entire army clumped up, and looking here, that was really leveling things out. MaSsan now in a great spot, resupplying on roaches, which is absolutely ideal because he's got a dominating force. He wants to really get as much bang for his buck as he can right there in a very quick unit to get them out. They're streaming across the map now, and of course we're going to start seeing problems for the Protoss player. Those Broodlords are going to lay siege to this 4th base, which is ever so critical at this stage of the game. You need that late game income, which is just going to get annihilated, and as you can see, Range not even able to come and push into this. He doesn't want to risk the engagement too soon, got to sacrifice this 4th base, which he can't really afford to do. Meanwhile, MaSsan taking his 5th, which is great. We've got some Banelings sitting around there as well. They're just going to help deal with stuff. No Overlords, though, for dropping them as Bane Rain. That would just be micro crazy and awesome. But we can always live in hope. MaSsan, if you ever watch this, consider doing something that great. It would be cool. But this is a great play by all means at the moment. As you can see, the Protoss player trying to use the high ground to his advantage, but that does not help against the Broodlords, and the Fleet Beacon is still, what, 40 seconds away, the Mothership an eternity away at this point, and MaSsan is just in a great spot. Counterattack coming in with a couple of Zealots, but again, there's just too much there. The main base has been taken out, the natural has been taken out. We are in a complete base race situation here, and really MaSsan should be able to win this, to be honest, just because of the Broodlords. He's engaging the Protoss force head on, doing an absolutely amazing job of it. The Broodlord staying up, that is the most critical thing. All of the Stalkers dying, the Archons are now really the only threat. They'll go down very fast. Of course, the natural base and main base being lost is a bit of an issue. The biggest issue, though, is the fact that Hive is gone, but luckily the Greatest Spy was actually built the 3rd, so that is really good forward thinking out of MaSsan right there. And looking here, this is going so heavily in MaSsan's favour. He's got a lot of Broodlords up, he's doing a lot of damage, the Stalkers aren't really coming back quickly enough, and we've just got so many more Corruptors coming in, more Infestors there. We've got this 5th base, the 4th base, very heavily defended, and really, the Zealots can go to town somewhat, but it only takes a handful of roaches to really deal with those. Meanwhile, the roaches coming up here, dealing with the top corner hidden base, and we've got a 1 base Protoss, 1 mining base Protoss against a 2 mining base Zerg, which could very well be kind of 2 and a bit, should he want to. But these Zealots, they're getting shut down pretty quick. We've got a big engagement here, but those Corruptors making very short work out of the Colossus. But looking here, we do of course have the Archons still. They're being a right pain, but with good ground support, which we're seeing here, they get cleaned up pretty damn quickly. The Infested turns a genius move, but what's this? Probes are suiciding into Spine Crawlers. That is never a good move. Probes, don't you know they are pointy? Looking here, there is a bit of rage out of ranged, but to be honest, MaSsan played that well. He teched up better. The counterattack was good by ranged, but you can't really base race in that situation when you've gone for a death ball yourself. Now, if you did enjoy the cast, guys, please subscribe, leave a cool comment, like the video. I'll see you tomorrow for another brand new game, but most importantly, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you did enjoy. Bye for now.